Thanks for joining us. Mike Parker with John Warren on the Joe Beaver Show from studio. And every day this week in this time slot, and right on time as we expected in the Gary Anderson era with all of his staff and the highly organized, motivated, energetic group, right on time, Coach Chad. I will let him, because it's a work in progress for me, if he doesn't mind. My sincere apologies, Coach Chad, on your last name. I've been practicing. I'm still not sure. I'd like to hear you say it, and then we'll go from there. But the defensive line coach for the Beavers, Coach Chad, let's hear you say your full name, please.
I'm doing fine, Mike. I should stick you with this one and put it on you, but I won't.
Okay.
It's this first time. My last name is it's pronounced Cow.
Cow.
That's not too hard.
Okay, I still, even I hear it, I try to repeat it. I'm not a very good parrot. My apologies. But Coach Chad, it's nice to have you on the Joe Beaver Show. Before we get to the specifics and the most recent, your observations about this past Saturday and what you're looking forward to this Saturday in the spring game, in general, Coach, tell us from your perspective how these early months on the job with Coach Anderson and your fellow assistants and your student athletes, players, and your whole staff, how it's going and some of the things that you're pleased about, some of the things you're still kind of working on and excited about as you take on this big job at Oregon State.
I think, the transition has been real smooth. It's been easy. Obviously, myself and Coach Woods we've been around Coach Anderson for a long time, and then even working with some of the other coaches, Coach Taki, Coach Tuliaki, I've worked with them before. So as for a coaching staff gelling, it's been very easy. We all know each other and we get along and we work well together. So that was a huge positive. And I think the next part of the job was getting the kids on the same page, buying into what Coach Anderson believes in and what we believe in. And it wasn't as hard as I expected. I mean, these kids are hungry. They want to be successful. They want some positive in their lives, and I think the philosophy Coach Anderson brings has brought them to this point where everything's moving in a different direction, and it's been a positive, and the kids have grasped it and are bought in, and it's still going to take more time, but from what we see, what we notice, they're bought in, and even schematically with this new defense, we're fairly simple right now defensively. We went from an even front to an odd front, and we mixed it up here and there, and I think defensively it was a little challenging because it puts a lot of pressure on the front seven, the D linemen and the linebackers, with the communication, with the movements, and just there's so many different moving parts in the odd front that there were some growing pains when we came back from spring break, schematically. But I think this past Saturday was a good indicator of what they can expect out of defense when we do things the right way. So everything up until this point has been positive.
And Coach Chad, what specifically, you referenced Saturday, you liked what you saw. Give us perhaps a feel for that. What was good about Saturday from your perspective?
I think at least speaking of front line, defensive line, what got me most fired up was us finally working the technique that has been taught since day one, since we got here. It's completely different than what has been going on prior. We're trying to be way more gap sound. And again, I'm gonna say this time and time again, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite me in the butt, but my goal was to be a better run stopping defense than we've been in the past. It's crazy to say that when you run an odd front, if that's what we're going to do, but if we do it, you can be successful in it. But again, it comes back to playing with fundamentals and technique as a D lineman, and I was pleased to see that come together on Saturday. We've had our ups and downs, but this past scrimmage was the most consistent we've been. We had a few busts schematically, which they caught us in the run game. The good thing is that we made our offense earn every run they got. When we did things right, so I could put that on film and say, hey, listen, look at this. You guys, you're seeing it. When we do things right, they can't do anything. But as soon as we have a bust in the scheme, or we decide to peak and not be in our gap and not do our 111, then bad things happen for us. And then it usually starts with us or the outside backer in the run game. And I think this morning's film was a great film session because they played so consistent. And then all of a sudden we have one screw up. And then they see it and they know it and they understand it. So I think we're making strides in that. I know it's been a thorn in everybody's side here, I guess, in the run game. Every time I talk to people, at least in the media, they express their concerns about the run game on defense. And so that's a goal of mine. Even prior to coming in, that as a defensive line coach, that's always my goal. One, to stop the run.
John Warren, along with Mike Parker, here on the Joe Beaver Show with defensive line coach Chad Kay joining us here. What you mentioned, I would take a stab, but you mentioned, Coach, that was your goal coming in, and I'm curious what the process was like for you this go around, and the time frame you had to work with on learning who you had. How do you do that? You can only have a certain amount of contact, then you get into spring drills, and then you go for a while and then take some time off. What was that process like for you in learning just what you had and then kind of coaching them up when you got on the field with them?
I think, you can only, there was film on certain guys and whatnot, and I think what we looked for as I watched film, again, the schemes that we have are completely different. The techniques that we're doing and I do is completely different than what was done here prior. And so basically what I did was I had to not look at, when I watched some of these guys on film, was not look at like, hey, what the heck are these guys doing? It was, wow, this guy's athletic. He might not be doing what I would like him to do, but he's sure athletic on doing it. And so I kind of looked at that, and then we watched, we were able to watch these guys run around a little bit. And then we did get to work with our guys in winter conditioning. You're allowed to do some conditioning work, which, can convert into defensive line fundamentals and defensive line techniques. So it wasn't too bad, and I've been doing this for a long time. And so it was a learning process. You're learning on the go with these guys. And the one thing that stood out was our defensive line's athleticism. I think we have to get stronger in the weight room, and that's something Coach Simon will get done. I've been around with Coach Simon for a long time, and he's done a nice job of getting my position group strong, and I expect that to happen again while I work with him. And then, I think it's about being a blue-collar group, and I think it starts with me. I think they feed off of my mentality and my personality, and that's the way I am. And I'm gonna try and drill that into them. And we gotta be a lot tougher. And again, it stems back to the run game. Everything I talk about stems back to the run game, and I think we're getting tougher as a group. We're athletic, but we got to get tougher as a group, and we're working towards that.
What was the reasoning for switching from the even to the odd, the 3-4? Was it based on the strengths, the speed, perhaps, of the defensive front, or even just your and Coach Anderson's familiarity with that defense?
I think it was a combination of us having a good grasp of the even front and having a defensive coordinator that's majored in the 4-3 for years and years. Also, a head coach who's majored in it. I think we wanted to, and again, you got to ask them, but I established a 3-man front just to get it going, because again, it's a lot different than coaching in an even front, and there's a lot more moving parts. So I think maybe that's why Coach Anderson and Coach Kalani Sataki decided to sway that way. But at the same time, as you look at us in a 3-man and an odd front, we fit really well because we have really talented outside linebackers. We have talented. We got about the will position, the flash position, the stud position is all for athleticism. It's not your true inside linebacker, which we do have, but we got about 6 or 8 of those guys that are just super athletic, and they're young, and this is a good defense for them to fit in. So it's been going well, but I go back to, again, the defensive line and the odd front. You got to be some tough suckers to dig in now and to take care of the inside and let the linebackers run.
Coach Chad Kawahaha, I'm sorry. I promise by the time we get to the fall, Coach, I will talk to you and record it and listen and try to practice it. But in the meantime, thanks for taking time for us. When you talk about toughness, you've got the athleticism. We need to develop toughness. I've talked to all coaches in all sports about that. How, if you don't have it in a sense, I mean, can you instill it? Have you had experiences as a coach where guys who may not have been quite as tough as you wanted them to through drilling, through repetition, technique, through staying after them, can become the tough kind of players you want them to be?
I think it's not about, when I say toughness, it's just they got to be able to dig in on certain situations. They got to be able to dig in that 4-eye. And if we're not soft playing,
right?
But playing a 4-eye and playing a 5 technique's way different, and so. And that's what I mean about toughness. All of a sudden, defensive ends become defensive tackles, and there's a big difference in that. Instead of going against a 255-pound tight end, you're going against a 330-pound offensive tackle and a 300-pound offensive guard. You're in that defensive tackle position, and you got to be able to fight your way through it and battle through some growing pains, and that's what we're going through because this is new. But if you can't get it done, and I tell I'm not telling you anything I wouldn't tell my players or a recruit. If you can't get it done, this is not the right place for you. It's not the right fit, and it's not these guys' fault that we didn't recruit them, but they're competitive dudes. So if they're competitive dudes, they're going to find a way to bring that at least toughness or mental toughness that we need for a defensive end.
Last few things with Coach Chad, the defensive line coach for the Beavers, getting ready for the spring game now Saturday. We're really excited about just being able to say that, Coach, because it's been a while for various reasons. What do you, as a D-line position group coach, but an entire staff, your thoughts about Saturday, 1 o'clock, when Beaver Nation comes out to see this? What are you hoping they'll see, and specifically for your position group?
I think as long as my group, we play fundamentally and technically sound, and we can make some plays here and there. I don't know how elaborate the defense is going to be on Saturday. I don't know what exactly we're going to do. But I know for my group, it's just been fundamentally and technically sound. So, and at the end of the day, we'll see how the teams get split up now. That plays a big difference. So we'll see how Coach Anderson splits the teams up. He's going to make it heavy. Are we going to equal it out, or he's going to make it heavy on one side and lighter on the other side? So we'll see. Sometimes Coach Anderson likes to
do you have any
make things hard. I know who the coaching staffs are, so it's not looking good from my side of the staff right now. From me knowing Coach Anderson, it's not going to be not real pretty.
You guys are still competitive,
we'll
though.
Dig in.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys are talking to each other, giving each other some challenges for this Saturday.
Right? It's you know what? It hasn't set in yet because of the scrimmage we had, but probably by after tomorrow's practice. And I think the excitement will come when Coach Anderson talks about the split and whatnot. And it's a fun deal. I've been a part of it with him at the last program we were at, and the kids really enjoyed it. I know it takes a toll because the numbers are down, but I think it's a pretty fun deal. It gets competitive, and it'll be good. And we just hope we can get some people out and watch us, to support and have our kids. Watch our kids run around, and I guess I know there's a cover charge to get in, but I think it all goes to a good cause. I don't know what the proceeds go to, but I know it goes to a good cause.
Well, it's going to help the band and cheer programs, which are very vital to the whole experience of game day and so on. So $6 is a pretty low number. $5 if you buy 4 tickets or more. So that's going to be a lot of fun in itself. You know, one of the things.
Come out, tailgate, do all that stuff.
Absolutely. Make a day of it. Then there's Beaver baseball at the end of that at 4 o'clock. So a football, baseball doubleheader. The thing I enjoyed, we'll close on this, and next time I'd love to have you break down, as you did recently in an article with Kerry Agers, Jalen Grimble and Kyle Pecco. Your thoughts. Jalen had to kind of come. He didn't participate as much this past Saturday, but when he's healthy, when you see him, Chad, and when you see Kyle Pecco, and we long to see him on the field in September. But what are your thoughts about those two guys that you inherit?
You know, I'm super excited. I've known Kyle for a little bit. I recruited him when on my last job I had in the Pac-12. I recruited my butt off to get Kyle, and I mean, Oregon State swayed him their way, and I'm just fortunate to be be coaching that kid. I think those two guys that you mentioned, I don't want it to be premature, but I think those guys can play on Sundays now. Kyle's got it. He's the perfect nose guard. He might be a little bit undersized, but he's got long arms. He's explosive. He's strong, and he's super athletic. And he's about 305. So that's exactly what we want out of our nose guard. And then Grimble, he's a perfect fit for the 4i. Again, big, long, athletic. Obviously, he's got to work on his strength. But because of his length and his athleticism, he does a lot of good things. And when we got him back for maybe a week and a half, I was like, I talked to Coach Anderson, and I said, this is the 4i that we need. We got to recruit guys like this if this is the defense we're going to be in. And so, and Jalen kind of he tweaked. He got a little banged up a little bit. So for precautionary reasons, we held him out of the scrimmage. He's going to go through individual drills, stay out of any crossover, and then Saturday he'll be back for Saturday's scrimmage.
Good.
But fired up about those two guys. Fired up about Levante Barnett, and the surprise is Joshua James. He's bought into this defense. He could be the first guy to be like, man, I'm a senior and I got to go play out front. Well, what is going on? But Josh he's embraced the position and he's doing his job and he's making things happen.
That's great to hear.
Pleased with those guys. When
you say fired up, we'll close on this. That's the sense that coming out to practice when I can and this whole Saturday scrimmage, your guys on defense, you made a lot of plays. I love the enthusiasm, Coach. Tell me what your view is when guys are celebrating plays and high-fiving and getting excited. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's an emotional game, and I think we can go off. There's a lot of times where the defense will feed off of emotion. I'm an emotional guy, and I think the defense has kind of felt that. I'm not saying I'm got experience in it, but we got to be smart football players, and we got to be good teammates, and we got to know when to be emotional, and I really thought that lacked before we got here, and I think they're seeing the passion and the energy that the coaches are bringing, and it's got to feed off to the players, and then it'll feed off to the guys on the field, whether you're on the sideline or the field. You gotta enjoy what you're doing. You gotta have fun, and I'm not saying draw a penalty or celebrate by yourself. You always celebrate with your teammates, but man, when you make a big play or you make a play or it's a third down stop or a fourth down stop, you got to celebrate that because playing football, everything about football is hard to do. So when you do something positive, let's get excited about it and, let's get the ball, keep that snowball rolling bigger and bigger. And I think with the emotion, that'll help these kids. And you watch the film, they're slowly understanding, okay, holy smokes, red zone stop. Hell yeah, that's a big deal. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Kalani's a passionate guy. Myself, and even some of our younger coaches are learning that they haven't been around us. And I don't know if that wasn't allowed. I have no idea, but they're doing it now. So that's a good thing. It helps everybody. Emotion's a good thing.
Coach Chad, it's great talking to you. I promise I'll work on being able to properly introduce you the next time. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you Saturday. We appreciate your time and your hard work and enthusiasm. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me on.
Coach Chad. I'm going to listen back to the tape. You recorded everything, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, I'm going to go back and just loop it. Constant loop. It's
just a matter of getting in your brain how many ha-has there are.
Well, I know, but also the emphasis, the accent. You could, because I have it phonetically spelled out here, and it doesn't help me.
I would just strive for reaching one goal before you try to go for the next goal.
Okay, Coach McGivern. Thank you.
How many ha-has, and then go for the emphasis.
We come back if you have any thoughts about what you just heard. I do get fired up listening to all of these guys.
Yeah,
and the thing I like, too, is they share